There's a moment in every serious conversation that most people they just cannot survive. It's not the argument. It's not the confrontation. It's not even the accusation. It's the pause. It's that suspended space that opens up after something real has been said. You see, most people cannot tolerate it. Their nervous system fires, their mouth opens, they begin explaining, softening, walking their words back before they even realize what they're doing. But the hermit understands something that changes how power moves between people. Silence is not absence. No, silence is force. Pay attention the next time you're in a real conversation. Not small talk, a conversation that actually matters. Someone says something uncomfortable, a hard truth, a firm boundary, a direct disagreement. And then the silence appears. 3 seconds, maybe 4. Watch carefully what happens inside that space. The person who just spoke begins to fracture. You can see it happen in real time. Sorry, I didn't mean for that to come out so harsh. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. It's really not that big of a deal. Forget I said it. They dismantle their own position. They surrender their own ground. And no one asked them to. No one challenged them. No pressure was applied. They collapsed because of the silence. Not because they were wrong. No, because unresolved space became unbearable. The hermit does not do this. The hermit has learned to sit inside that discomfort without flinching. This is not just a communication style. It's rooted in how the human brain works. You see, human beings are closure-seeking creatures. The mind constantly tries to resolve unfinished situations. Incomplete things stay active in the brain. Unresolved tension pulls at our attention. When silence enters a conversation after something important has been said, every nervous system in the room begins searching for an exit, a way to close the loop, a way to restore equilibrium. And this leads to a simple truth most people never realize. Whoever breaks the silence first usually surrenders the frame. They absorb the tension. They take responsibility for the discomfort. They signal, without meaning to, that they cannot hold uncertainty. Real influence rarely belongs to the loudest person in the room. It belongs to the person who can hold the most unresolved tension without breaking. This is why the hermit never rushes to rescue a conversation. No, the hermit lets the moment breathe. He lets it grow uncomfortable because the discomfort itself is revealing something. Here is the actual move. Simple in description, demanding in practice. You say what needs to be said clearly, without hedging, without burying the truth inside layers of soft language designed to protect yourself from someone's reaction. You say it, then you stop. No explanation. No emotional cushioning. No instinctive rush to fill the silence you just created. Just stillness. And then you watch. Silence reveals people. Some will immediately begin negotiating with themselves. They will reinterpret your words. They try to make them mean something less threatening. Some will attempt to pull you back into emotional chaos, escalating, provoking, making the discomfort your fault. Others will begin explaining their own behavior unprompted. They fill the vacuum with justifications you never asked for. And sometimes, something else happens. They simply go quiet. They absorb what was said. They accept it. But the hermit's power does not come from controlling the outcome. It comes from something deeper. He does not need a particular outcome. He's not attached to being accepted, not attached to being agreed with, not even attached to being understood in that moment. He releases the words into the room, then he lets the silence do the work. Most people grow up believing power in conversation comes from talking, from arguing, from being more persuasive, more articulate, more aggressive than the person across from them. No. Debate culture rewards the talker. Yes. Politics rewards the talker. Yes. Social media rewards the talker. Yes. But real human dynamics operate on a different currency. Containment. The person who can contain their own anxiety, their own reaction, their own need to resolve tension immediately holds a structural advantage in almost every interaction. When you refuse to feel the silence, something subtle happens. The geometry of the conversation shifts. You become the stable point, the fixed element around which everything else must orient. Not because you forced it, not because you performed dominance, but because you demonstrated something deeper. You do not need anyone else to rescue you from silence. The nervous system recognizes that immediately, before thought, before language, and everything begins to reorganize around it. The next time someone challenges a boundary, questions a decision you've already made, pushes you to justify something you do not owe them an explanation for, try this. Say what is true. Say it once. Say it calmly. Say it without apology. Then pause. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, maybe longer. You'll feel an almost physical urge to jump back in, to soften the edges, to rescue the conversation. That impulse is the habit you're training yourself to override. But hold the silence. Let it stand. In most cases, the other person will begin speaking within seconds. Not because they have a response ready, but because they cannot tolerate the unresolved space. And what they say in that moment will often reveal more than anything they would have said had you kept talking. The hermit is not a dominator. The hermit is not interested in overpowering people in conversation. He's a stabilizer. He does not flood the room with words hoping something lands. He places one true thing in the room and he lets it stand. He does not chase every deflection. He does not argue in circles. He does not match escalation with escalation. He says what is real, and then he becomes quiet. Because reality does not require defense. Words can be manipulated. Arguments can be twisted. Explanations can be reframed. But silence has no handle. There's nothing to grab. Nothing to argue with, nothing to redirect. Silence simply holds what is true until the other person must decide what to do with it. Most people fear silence. They interpret it as tension, as something broken that must be repaired immediately. The hermit understands something different. Silence does not mean something has gone wrong. No. Silence means something real has entered the room, and the room has not yet figured out how to escape it. The hermit does not rescue them from that moment, because that moment is where the truth lives.